All right, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to talk about this movie. I'm going to pretend I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to give it some arbitrary numbered grade, and then we're all going to move on with our days. Those are the rules.
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor.
Scream. Or, as it probably should have been called, Scream 5, Scrafivum, or 5 Cream. They kind of addressed that in the movie, but I'm still annoyed by all these franchises doing that. Anyway, Scream 5, Scrafivum, 5 Cream is the latest in this long-running meta-horror franchise, 11 years after the last entry in Scream 4, which wasn't bad, and it's been a solid franchise, you know? I can't go past the first one, but they've all been at least good, I think. And this one is directed by, it's the first one not directed by Wes Craven, which I know a lot of people have had trepidations about, but it's by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, who directed Ready or Not. They also go by the name Radio Silence. And I had faith, because Ready or Not is a really, really fun horror movie that still has some hard-hitting kills in it. And that's pretty much what Scream 5 is. I had a really good time with it, and I think it's a worthy addition to the franchise. So we bring back the originals here, Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and Courtney Cox as the trio of Ghostface fighting people, and they've all sort of moved on with their lives. Dewey probably has the most to do in this one. He's still living in the town, but we center on some new characters here. Now, Melissa Barrera plays Sam, a young woman with a family secret that I won't go too much into spoilers in this review at all. I won't go into spoilers at all in this review, but yeah, she's got a secret, and she finds her and her younger sister's group of friends plagued by Ghostface, someone else, you know, as Ghostface, doing some more killings, so they have to figure out the rules and figure out who's going to die next and who it is and how to stop him. So yeah, par for the course for the Scream franchise. But hey, that's what I like about it. I like that it does keep to this structure, and it can play around with tropes of horror while still, you know, delivering exactly what you expect from a Scream movie. But yeah, for the new cast, Jenna Ortega I thought was really good as Tara, the lead's younger sister, who gets attacked in the beginning of the film, but survives, and she's a fan of elevated horror. One of the many meta commentaries I was expecting from this one. You've also got Jack Quaid from The Boys. He was great. He delivers a lot of really funny lines, and his character, you kind of see him like learning about the franchise as it goes along. And yeah, he was a really great addition. So yeah, this one doesn't reinvent the wheel, which I'm not asking for from a Scream film. I just ask that they come by every 10 years and comment on what's happened with the horror genre. And this one, yeah, we get, like I said, we get some talk about elevated horror, and we get some talk about requels, which is this trend that I may or may not have just talked about in my last video. About every film having to feature legacy characters, and you can't get away with doing a full reboot, but franchisers are always doing these soft reboots and naming the film the same as the original, like this one did. So yeah, I get it, you explained it, it's still a dumb title and I hate it. But yeah, well, where I think this really shined was its commentary on toxic fandoms, and there's a bit of a not-so-subtle dunk on people who hated The Last Jedi, which I kind of enjoyed. But yeah, so some of the commentary really worked, but some of it also feels like the movie is just kind of trying to critic-proof itself. It's like, oh yeah, so this is why people are dumb for hating this sequel, blah, blah, blah. It almost feels like they're trying to set up the building blocks in place for anyone who doesn't like this movie so they can say, hey, we addressed it in the film. And that's not to say I have a lot of criticisms for this movie, but it does feel like it was less interested in offering some fun insights than it was in just covering its own arse, I guess. The kills are great. That's one thing modern horror slashers are getting right, you know, most of the time. Some of the time. Yeah, there's some great daylight scares as well, which I appreciated. Ghostface is pretty menacing in this one, and that's what I like about the Scream franchise. It's able to be funny and have a laugh, but it doesn't like slack on the intensity, and that's why I really love the third act of this. It takes a while to get going, but once it does, there are some really fun twists and turns and reveals, some great performances from those involved in those twists and turns and reveals, and I like that it lets the new characters breathe. The originals really aren't in it that much. Dewey gets some great moments, but Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox are really kind of in the background for a lot of this film, and like, you know, I'm fine with that. They've had their time in the sun, and they're great with what they're given in this one. That being said, though, I do wish these new characters were a little more interesting, and I think the lead, Sam, is, like, okay, there's an interesting idea behind her character, but I just don't think she's that interesting as the character. Barrera's performance, who I like, I just think she was a little one-note and didn't show a lot of range or emotion for a character that's kind of supposed to, and I think she was kind of outshone by everyone around her. Like, Jenna Ortega was really great, and I kind of wish we spent more time with her character. So yeah, it was a bit hard to get invested in the journey with characters that I didn't find super interesting. considering that it's a franchise known for having delightful characters. But Jasmine Savoy-Brown is the new horror expert in this one. I thought she was great, and she had a lot of fun with it. Overall, I'd say this met my expectations. I was probably hoping for like a little bit more from the Radio Silence directors, because I think Ready or Not is genuinely one of the most entertaining horror films of the last 10 years. But it was still good. It was solid. It's not the best in the franchise, and it's not the worst. For me, I actually think it sits smack dab in the middle, and it was a great time sitting in a theater with a packed crowd next to my sister, who's like a die-hard Scream fan, so that was a lot of fun, trying to figure out who the killer was and everything, and I got it right from the very beginning, and I was proud of myself, because I usually suck at that. And that's not a criticism on the movie. So Scream, time for that arbitrary number grade. I'm going to give this one a solid 7 out of 10. Doesn't reinvent the wheel, didn't maybe quite reach the heights I know these directors are capable of, but it's still a very solid addition to the franchise and a great time at the movies. And I recommend going to see it. Let me know what you think once it does hit theaters, which I think is today. So thank you very much for watching. As I said, going to be trying to do more movie reviews for new releases on this channel. Subscribe, like, talk to me. I like talking about movies. My DMs are always open wherever you can find me, on Letterboxd, Instagram, all that's in the description. Have a lovely day.